All right, everybody. I was almost late to that. The thing played, and I was trying to get the retweets in there real quick, and I almost did not get those in time. I had like 3 seconds left on the clock. So, welcome into the Brady Quinn episode. That's right, episode 10 of the Barking Brown Show. We're keeping the theme going of the quarterbacks. Maybe I'll change it up when we get to 11. Maybe. I already know what I'm going to do with 11, so we're going to see there. I am your host, Jacob. I'm at Roachism13. For those of you watching the feed, it is on your screen. If not, it is in the episode and show descriptions. If you are listening on Spotify, Apple, or anything else, if you are, please like, comment, subscribe, rate us, leave 4 stars, 5-star ratings and reviews. My dog is already in the shot. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Nick, over at Carnsies817, again, on the screen or over in the descriptions. Nick, how are we doing tonight?
I'm feeling good today. Back to Nick and Jacob episode, Jacob and Nick episode. It's gonna be fun tonight.
I think we've got a lot of stuff to go in just a short amount of time, even though it's the off season. So I'm super jacked up. I got my taco shirt on, so I had some burritos for dinner. So here we are. We're gonna go just straight off the top. Let me go over here and put it on the screen here. We got a couple over here in the chat going on here. What's up? Chief podcaster showing some love. Hey,
hello, friend.
A chief podcaster. I actually want to do some potential preview of the Chiefs as an opponent. Could you send me a DM about your podcast? Maybe potentially we could collaborate in the future. I know this is just happening right off the fly, but seriously, send me a DM because we might, if you're cool with that sort of thing, we might be able to do it. Extra Crispy, he can't get on YouTube. He's on Twitter tonight. That's just fine. Don't worry about it, buddy.
Yeah,
we got you. So we're going to do some defensive questions. I saw way too much Nick Chubb slander, which resulted in the first known blocking that I know of. And by that, I mean someone blocked me. We'll get into that. I'm pretty excited. Top 5 MCU movies. We're going to rate our top 5 MCU. And we got some more stuff going on for you. I got some rants and some other things going on like that. I wanted to take a side note about the guy that blocked me about the Nick Chubb slander. We were all pretty upset with the FanDuel top 5 running backs, and Nick Chubb was not on the top 5 list. I tweeted, hey, we know what I'm going to rant about next week on the show. Mm-hmm. And this guy goes, all of those guys are better than Nick Chubb. I said, oh, in what way? And so I immediately started comparing him to Barkley and Dalvin Cook. So I started talking about stats and production and advanced metric numbers with this guy. And he was just like, you're biased. You're a hypocrite. You're a biased hypocrite, you dumbass. And I'm like, whoa. I said, you have a meritless argument because I'm giving you facts and all this other information. This guy was just name calling. He goes, yours is meritless. You're biased. They're all better than Chubb. And then I was like, well, could you give me some facts? And then he immediately blocked me. And all of a sudden it just disappeared. He blocked me. I had no idea what the hell was going on. It was an adventure, guys. Okay, so for those of you that are not as familiar with me as you might be of Nick, I do these polls every Sunday about the Browns, trying to stir up a little bit of conversation, maybe a little bit of controversy. I stirred up the most close-knit race that I had. The winner only got 36% of the vote. Second place had 35% of the vote. I wanted to, off the top, get your thoughts on it, Nick. I will read the poll and give the position rankings of the percentages, and then I would like you to give your answer to the poll, address how the poll turned out, anything you want to say about the subject. So we say that the Browns have overhauled their defense, but I don't believe that the roster is complete. And I mean, there's no such thing as a complete roster in the NFL. Where do you believe their biggest weakness is? I said where. I actually typed it. Where do you believe their weakest position is? Because words are hard. And I said that I look forward to discussing with everybody. So I will read them in order. I put edge depth. It was last at 15%. Corner depth was third at 15%. Defensive tackle was second with 35%, and linebacker won with 36%. So thoughts on the weakest position at the defense and the way the voting, that was with 1,340 votes.
So I feel like these polls a lot, you really nailed this one.
It was a good one. I was proud of it. Yeah,
because anytime you can get results that are this close, that tells you, that the options are good. And I think it's legitimately it feels like a toss up to me, because I had to really sit there and think about my answer for a little bit. And I think ultimately I voted for defensive tackle in a very tough situation there. And because when I thought about it, it's like the Browns. So the Browns at least are returning linebackers that were starting last year in Malcolm Smith.
Played significant snaps.
Yeah. Starting is probably the wrong word, but significant time.
Yeah.
But when you look at defensive tackle, you lost Sheldon Richardson and Larry Ogunjobi, who both were very high up in the overall snap counts of defensive tackles. So then you look at the position group, and Andrew Berry's done a great job of adding a lot of potential to the group. But of all of them, I think Malik Jackson and I'm not sure how we feel about Damian Square. Is Damian Square going to make the team? Not sure. So then you look at it and you're saying, so you have Andrew Billings as well, who has played in the league, but he's been gone for a year. I mean, that's not an insignificant amount of time. So to me, there's only one guy that you can really plant your flag in and say, Malik Jackson is a proven, productive defensive tackle.
Yep.
And so, and that's where I came from with the poll, is that when you look at the linebackers, I feel confident in Malcolm Smith. I feel confident in Anthony Walker. I've liked to see Sione Takitaki's shown a little bit there from, and who knows how. I mean, and granted, that's why the poll is so good, because I kind of get through those first couple names and then I'm like, So
it still made you, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a tough race.
Yeah. So I'm going to catch up over here on the comments real quick before I get it. This ties into what I'm going to say later, but our boy over at Extra Crispy wants us to know that if Chubb was playing for Pittsburgh, nobody would have hated. I agree, and I will actually tie that into my rant just a little bit later on. But he says he went with corner. I completely understand that. I'm going to address all four of them real quick here when we get to me. Yes. I was just about to throw him up. So we got our friend from way across, and he's in tomorrow. It's tomorrow for Nick.
I believe it's 10 a.m. on Wednesday.
There it is. Good morning to you, my friend. Thank you for joining us. I'm very excited to have you. My buddy Jerry is in here. He said, yeah, it's an inside joke. It's not that funny. Trust me, it's not.
I liked it.
Jack, what's going on? How you doing? I just wanted to show some love. Hey, glad to have you, man. Appreciate the support and sliding in here. Go Browns. MC says he voted defensive back because of injury history. That ties into what I'm about to say.
Sure.
So here.
I just want, just real quick, for those who don't know, Nick, who's joining us, is Browns fan down under on Twitter. A nice.
You're right. He said Wednesday 10 a.m. You're right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
just glad. Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine, because I think we talked about trying to find a way to get him on one of the fan episodes the other day, just because an international fan I think would be a lot of fun to talk to them and get some. I just think they'd have a lot of different perspectives. Because there's all those differences between being over there and being here. I would love to have a chat with him sometime. So my answer is defensive tackle as well. And I broke this down with our good friend of the show, DW, the other day, and I think we're going to talk to him next week. Just wait. Maybe we got some stuff going on for you guys next week. Boop, 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 boop. And I told him this, that between the defensive tackle, Mick says he's in. He says he's in. We'll figure out something with Mick. We'll talk to our good friend. So I looked at it this way. Edge and corner depth are kind of third and fourth to me because they're depth questions. Also, how great is it in July as Cleveland Browns fans that our biggest arguments and worries are depth issues because there's legitimate starters. We're not saying, God, who's going to play outside next to – who's going to play the slot? Who's going to play free safety? I mean, you think of this like 3 years ago, like, and you're like, okay, like maybe like, and I know Demarius Randall his first year had a good year, but like he when we acquired Demarius, he was a corner. He had played safety. He had played safety in college, but the Packers converted him to corner. So he wasn't doing that great. That's why we got him for like a 5th round pick in Deshaun Kaiser, which is what the trade was. But he moves back to safety. But still, you had all these question marks. Like, I don't even know, where's this guy going to play? Who's going to play here? Who's going to be like that? So these conversations are great to have. I came down to this. I see 3 proven guys in the linebacker room versus 1 or 2 in the defensive tackle room, as you said. I'm only going with Malik Jackson in the defensive tackle room because Andrew Billings, he opted out. I'm not saying that's going to make him a garbage player. I'm really excited about what Andrew Billings can bring to the table, but we don't know. I mean, we have no way of knowing what he's going to bring to this table or if he's going to get injured because of sitting out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have absolutely zero idea what these opt-outs are going to have. We don't know what's going to happen with Drew Forbes. Maybe he even, like, you know, maybe he doesn't make the roster. I'm not saying that because I think Andrew Billings is a great player. I think he's going to be awesome. It's just, you know, you get what I'm saying. We just don't know. We don't know with these situations. So to me, in the linebacker room, Taki is perfect for his role as a run stopper. His run grade was phenomenal, and he is not a guy I want out there on 3rd and long in a passing situation. But that's where JOK comes in. But I look at it as Taki, as Billings, or I'm sorry, as Taki, Walker, and Smith. And I'm starting to be convinced by some factions that Malcolm Smith might be on the bubble to not even make this roster. Wow. And if that's the case, predicting that, but I've that a lot of people that made really good points about it. I was like, okay, I can see where, you know what I mean? I can see where you're coming from. And if that's the case, both of these rooms are only going to have a couple of guys. Like in the defensive tackle room, Malik Jackson's coming off of injury. Like, we got to remember that. Outside of Malik Jackson, Andrew Billings, who opted out, Malik Jackson and Andrew Billings are the only people that have more than 2 years experience. I don't know what happens with Damon Square. I don't think he makes the roster. I just think there's so much talent elsewhere, but maybe he does because they're afraid of this lack of experience. So to me, defensive tackle is the winner because you just I say this because you guys have heard me talk about these young defensive tackles, and I love these young defensive tackles. I love Togiai. I love Marvin Wilson, and I love McDowell, who I talked to Pete Smith the other day, and Pete Smith seems to think that he'll probably start on the practice squad when the year begins, and that probably makes some, and that kind of makes the most sense to me. But of course, Jadeveon Clowney and Myles Garrett could very easily slide there inside from time to time to play in there as well. But you know, you're getting down to it. I love these defensive tackles, but I haven't seen him on an NFL field, some of them at all. And Jordan Elliott was underwhelming as hell last year as a rookie. So let's hop over here. Go ahead.
I think you're kind of swaying me the other way. It's like a lot of these guys you're counting on, you've never seen play an NFL down.
Yeah, I mean, my top 3 guys, talent wise, are Togiai, Wilson, and McDowell. One of which hasn't played in 4 years at all on any level. Yeah. These other 2 are rookies. And I mean, McDowell's a rookie as well, just a rookie who didn't, you know what I mean. He didn't just come out of college, but I love the talent in the defensive tackle room. I think the linebacker room is set up well because they're all role players. So I think they have a role and they're all good at their role. And JOK, I think he flips back and forth between the linebacker room and the safety room because I think he's a little bit of a defensive weapon hybrid. But I will say this about corner depth. If Greedy can't go this year for some reason because of the nerve injury in his shoulder, if Greedy can't go, it gets dicey. It gets dicey at the depth. Okay. Ed checks in and said depth issues in a July it's words are hard. In July 24 tease tweet, is Orange the new Browns? Nick's got an opinion on that. Save it for just a second. He's very upset. He's very upset, guys. Extra Crispy says, I don't even think there's a lot of depth issues. Billings does want more bills. I mean, he's a big boy. I'll tell you what, you ain't moving him the hell out of the way.
No.
I'll tell you right now, you are not. Mick weighs in, what if we play Tack, Jackson, Clowney, Garrett? I think you see that a lot. Because that to me is that's the third down passing set. That's who it should be. I would say on 60% of passing downs, I would love to see that. And I think that's why they're comfortable with all these unproven tackles is because they have two really good edge players that can play very effectively inside.
I wanted to run something by you just based on this because I was just at a 4th of July party and I was talking to a lot of my fellow Browns family members. And so I know you and I and Jadeveon Clowney's referenced it as well, like playing inside. Mm-hmm. But some of my dad even and my uncle were both talking about how they thought Myles Garrett could benefit from potentially sliding inside. Is it because we haven't really seen a whole lot of that? I was just curious, Jacob, what you think about potentially doing that.
I think the thing we talk about a lot is the Clowney thing, just because Clowney's an addition, Myles Garrett isn't. Oh crap! Sorry, you know what I mean though. Like we talk a lot more about I think the Clowney side of things, just because we're talking about where this defense is now at as compared to where it was. Yeah. But listen, there are sub packages, and I know Madden's not everything, but there are sub packages where Madden has him line up inside and he destroys guards. Like I could very easily see a combination of Clowney and Garrett side by side on 10 to 15 snaps a game in any order, Clowney inside or Garrett inside, just because it makes sense that Joe Woods has these crazy exotic ideas. He's talked about him like, but he didn't have the personnel. Like, dude, if you think Myles can go inside on a guard and a center and get a sack, like all that matters is wins and punts, turnovers, and not letting points on the board. That's all that matters. I think Joe Woods and Kevin Stefanski kind of showed us that last year, right? With his offense, he would do whatever it took. Let OBJ throw a pass. Let Jarvis throw 4 passes. He had a perfect 158.3 passer rating. But you know what I mean? Like, I think you'll see that from Stefanski. I think Stefanski has said it. We'll do whatever it takes to win. He said things along those lines. If Joe Woods has an idea and he thinks this is going to work, and I mean, here's the thing: you put him inside and it doesn't work, then you don't do it again. Like if you do it 5 or 6 times and it never works, then okay, it doesn't work. I was wrong. I'm wrong about most things in life. But you know what I mean? Like yes. To answer your question in a 4-minute rant, yes.
Okay. All right.
So Nick, you're feeling down.
I am.
Your parade was rained on today. And then I thought he kind of responded with kind of a rude comment, but whatever. But Brad Steinbrook, he rained on Nick's parade and said that currently there are no plans for the Cleveland Browns to have orange jerseys. Nick, how are you handling this?
All right. Normally I've got coffee in this mug, and I currently have coffee in this mug. But we may need to switch to beer soon. Because, man.
Is that Irish coffee?
You know what? A lot of my I've heard Irish coffee's wonderful. Never actually indulged. Probably need to start at this point because I just you know what it's like they, and so I commented my conspiracy theory today. Just a really quick. So we saw the leaked photos of the all brown standard uniform, right? And
with Jarvis at the photo shoot, yeah.
And the color rush from last year were all brown, right? Granted, there was orange numbers, but it's like they're not gonna have color rush that are only orange numbers if they're gonna wear all brown standard unis. Like that just doesn't make any sense to me. So when they tease this uni that's gonna come out the 24th, I just like, okay, we already have an all brown. We've confirmed a new all brown variant
combo.
So the color rush has to be different. The alternate has to be different. They're not just going to be like, oh, we have all brown with all our orange numbers, and then we have all brown with like our standard numbers. That doesn't make any damn sense. So I convinced myself, and wishfully, because I'm just, I'm standing on this hill. I'm biased, admittedly so, but I just convinced myself that it's going to be orange jerseys, and apparently, because
a lot of people did. You were not the only one.
And Bree, shout out to her, and that's what B said. She came in today to my conspiracy theory and said, that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, she did. And she was saying that she thought that the tees jerseys were just the leaked ones we've already seen.
Yep.
The white ones with
the 75th anniversary. Yeah.
Yeah, and she said it. She said it for that's a great, and I agree. That is those. I love those jerseys. I think they're going to be a great addition to what the Browns do. But they've already been leaked, and I mean maybe that sucks for the Browns. But it's like, are you really going to go through all? And so I asked her. I don't remember. I don't think she got to respond. But I asked her. I was like, are the Browns really going to go through this whole rigmarole for a jersey that we've already seen? We've already seen it. The whole world's already seen it. Why are you?
I don't think so.
And so that's my thing. That's why I convinced myself. I was like, there's no way that they're going to be like, oh my God, look at this 7/24/21. We got the secret jersey that everybody's already seen. So get excited, guys. Like, I was just like, there's no way they're going to do that. Right. And
what if it's just like really bad? What if it's the unis from 2 years ago and they're just messing with us? What if they're just like, hey guys, listen, psst, I got an idea. Hey guys, listen. So, those really, really terrible uniforms that we played in for 5 years? Yeah. Hey, what if we wore them again for a game? Like a Monday Night Football game? Wouldn't that just be so funny? No, it wouldn't. Don't do it. Please don't do it.
What if we just put Browns on the pants? Let's just put Browns right along the side.
I tried to like them. I really did, guys. I tried. I own a Baker Mayfield in the home brown of the old uniforms. It was a gift, but I own it, and it's like when I bought a new Nick Chubb jersey, and when Nick got hurt this year, I didn't want to wear his jersey. I wanted him to rest because I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. And so I couldn't put the Baker Mayfield jersey on. Mick says that you do need to give Irish coffee a run, and our boy right here, Petty himself, Petty Eddie.
Hello,
Petty. In here, orange jerseys are the way.
And you know what,
Mac? If they brought back those unis, I'd cry.
Has there been a greater blunder? What was a greater blunder?
Atlanta's jerseys are terrible.
Those jerseys are terrible. But if you had to put up those jerseys against the orange is oranger, which of those two win?
I don't like this exercise. Hi, buddy. And my dog's here. He's he came in to comfort me. Yep. He had to come in to comfort me. He's sniffing the microphone.
Dude, I talked myself into those unis. I was like, these are great. Browns, Cleveland on the jersey. Sure, let's do it. These new stripes. Wow, so much.
They need to know who we are by putting our names on the pants. This show has gone off the rails.
Well, yeah.
Let's pull it back just a little bit. Listen, I got an issue. And I thought we were going to do this later in the show. I'm thinking about it.
Let's do it.
I'm upset about this Nick Chubb stuff. I have some notes, a couple pages of them here. See my notes here? Yeah, there we go.
I got Jacob's.
Those are my notes.
For those of you who can't see live, Jacob is the glue that it's so strong. It's great.
I'm the nerd that just like obsesses over things, and I'm really upset, guys. Anybody who's listening, let me know if you know what's going on with NFL Game Pass. I've been trying to get an all 22 subscription so I can watch some more film, and they're not like selling them right now, and I'm really upset about it because I'm just watching like YouTube film, and I can't get all the film that I want to get is all I'm saying. Is my dog back there? Yeah, he's messing up my bed. Okay, so I got a thing about this Nick Chubb disrespect. Guys, we had to talk about the Baker Mayfield disrespect last week, and here we are talking about the Nick Chubb disrespect this week. And I have a theory. I have a conspiracy theory. Are you ready for this conspiracy theory?
Tinfoil hat.
For one, I would say that we give the reactions that everybody wants. That's why they hate on the Browns, because they know exactly what we're going to do. Hi, buddy. How are you? Anyway, they know exactly what we're going to do. So they're like, stir up the Browns. You'll get clicks. You'll get ratings. That brings me to a point, guys. If Colin Cowherd or Tannenbaum or just any of these dumbasses say something, do not quote tweet them. Do not give their video more clicks and reps. You do put in like type it out yourself, but put in parentheses what they said so that you can comment to it. Like Colin Cowherd said that the Browns are Coachella, which is, I don't even know what that means. I know what Coachella is, but I don't know what that means. But like, don't quote tweet him saying that, because then he gets traffic. And here's the thing about the traffic. When you are trying to market yourself for sponsorships and for ad revenue, all Twitter tracks is how many eyes are on it. Not if those eyes are on it because they hate it, just that there's eyes on it. If you are giving those guys clicks, retweets, and things like that, you're supporting these dumbasses. And I say don't do it. I say just quote them, not quote tweet them, but write what they said and then give your opinion. I think that's how you should do it. That's my public service announcement. People can't stand that the Browns are good. I think consistently, no matter what, wherever your team was, I think you could say, well, we're not the Cleveland Browns. In other fan bases, it seems like it's Cleveland versus the world. It's not just our rivals that hate us. It feels like it's everybody. And it's just slander after slander after slander. If you cannot sit here with a straight face, unless you're saying that purely on fantasy football reasons, you cannot say that Nick Chubb's not a top 5 running back. You can't. I don't see any situation. The Baker Mayfield thing with the top 10, the top 15, things like that, I can be swayed. I might not necessarily agree, but there is some, there's some merit. There's some numbers. I realize you want to see more consistency from Baker. I've said that as well, but I also believe he will give that to us this year. But like with the Nick Chubb stuff, please, with Cleveland not being a dump, with everybody not being able to shit on Cleveland, I think all these other fan bases, especially like the New York teams and the Detroit Lions, are like scared that they're the Cleveland Browns now, and they cannot. Yeah. They can't just pass the. People can't stand that the Browns are good, and it's just, to me, I'm tired of being exhausted and upset about it.
Yeah.
And I've moved on to just to knowing that the reason that there is slander every single day is because we're back, baby.
Yeah. I know you're about to jump into Chubb.
No. Go ahead and respond to that.
I need to say this. For 15 years, the Ravens and the Steelers kind of took turns just beating up on Cincinnati, and Cleveland. And
Cincinnati would win a little bit.
Sure. I'm not saying Cincinnati was terrible, but I'm just saying overall, like if you had to say, okay, who's going to win the division from the beginning of the year? It's either Baltimore or Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So, and so you never heard, and especially because they always used to talk about Cleveland as like free wins, you never heard them say, oh, well, is Pittsburgh really legitimate? Because they're just getting 2 free wins on their schedule. Their schedule's so easy. The Browns are so terrible. But all you heard all year in this journey the Browns made is the schedule's so easy. They're not playing anyone. They're not legitimate. And it's like, why the Browns are playing on this one standard where they're not allowed to get any credit for beating anyone. But the Steelers have every year the schedule comes out and they're like, there's 2 free wins in Cleveland, and nobody says a word about Pittsburgh or their legitimacy. And I just cannot. That to me is such it's such a double standard, and I understand that Pittsburgh overall has been more successful, but what have they won? And what has Pittsburgh won in the last decade plus that they still get that respect and Cleveland gets? I'm just asking.
I mean, they can Browns, and that's the thing. It's like we just beat them twice in a row, and there's still people out there saying that was nothing, saying that playoff game meant nothing because
fraudulent.
Everybody's like, don't worry, it was a fraudulent. Big Ben gave it to them. Don't worry, they'll come back to earth. The Steelers got worse, and the Browns got better. And if you can't see that, you're just hating.
Yeah,
I mean, you're just hating. Extra Crispy's over here weighing in. He said, he says real dogs work. He also says he stays crispy. I'm not sure what that means. I think Extra Crispy is getting a little crazy. Ed weighs in and he says, yeah, the national media pimps themselves out for ratings by vacating Cleveland, and it works. We fall for it. Yeah. Mick's taken off. Said, let's chat about calling in on the show sometime. Mick, take care of yourself. Have a good Wednesday
morning. Thank you for joining,
my
friend.
All the way over there. I got a Nick Chubb rant, man. Here we go. So the FanDuel thing that they put out stated to us that their top 5 running backs were Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley. Okay. I will let you have the top 3 for sakes of this argument. I will just let you. I understand the Derrick Henry thing. I'm not sure he can take that many hits for very much longer because his usage is just absolutely off the charts. And I'm not sure he could. The dude's a monster, so he'll probably prove me wrong. I don't know how much he holds up with those numbers. But I'll give you Derrick Henry, 2,000-yard rusher. I will give you that. I'm okay with that. And I think a lot of Browns fans are okay with Henry and him being neck and neck. But for this argument, I'll give you him. I'll give you McCaffrey because of his catching ability, but I worry about his health. And I'll give you Kamara because of his catching ability. But I'm not sure what his quarterback situation is going to be, so I think it might be really hard for him this year, tough sledding without the Hall of Famer, the future Hall of Famer, Drew Brees. But for this argument, I'm only going to take on Nick Chubb versus Saquon and Dalvin Cook. This got me blocked when I started laying facts on people. Was that over the weekend? Is that when that happened?
I think so.
Okay. Let me give you Nick Chubb's stats year by year. Starting in 2018, his rookie year, 192 carries, 996 yards, 5.2 yards a carry, 8 touchdowns. He had less than 400 snaps. Less than 400 snaps that year. And rushed for which it was 9 starts, only 9 starts that year, almost 1,000 yards. He only played 36% of the snaps as a rookie. Keep in mind,
Carlos had to be traded away.
Had to be traded away. Thank you, Hugh. 2019, he had 298 carries for 1,494 and 8 touchdowns. That's 5 yards a carry. His rookie year, he had 20 catches. His sophomore year, he had 36. This past year, 190 carries, 1,067 yards, which is 5.6 yards a carry, 12 touchdowns, 16 catches, missed an entire month and almost more because that Cowboys game when he went down very, very early. So, well, let me talk about this. Best offensive line in football this year. His most usage year when he ran for 1,494 yards and 5 yards a carry. They were the 27th ranked offensive run blocking team. 27th ranked. He lost the rushing title because Derrick Henry had an absolutely phenomenal final game, and he got 3 carries in the second half because Freddie Kitchens, and that was the 27th ranked run blocking offensive line in football. Barkley head-to-head against Nick Chubb. Barkley's career, 4.7 yards a carry. Nick Chubb's half a yard a carry, every carry for 3 years. 5.2 is the career number for Nick Chubb. Dalvin Cook versus Nick Chubb. Dalvin Cook has played one more year in the league. He has 4.8 yards a carry, 3,661 yards. He has 3,661 yards. I know there's some injuries, but injuries have to do with it when you're talking a top 5 at a position, in my opinion. Nick Chubb, with one less year, has 104 less yards. Played one last year. 104 less yards. He's averaging 0.4 yards, almost a half a yard a carry again. So please tell me again how Saquon Barkley and Dalvin Cook are better running backs than Nick Chubb. And that is solely my Cleveland Browns blinders. Tell me that.
Those are good stats. I'm just saying. Those are
hard facts. They're not even the advanced metrics. You really want to have fun? Let's get into the advanced metrics.
The only thing so we are team Nick Chubb on this show here, and the only thing my friends who debate me can ever say is that Chubb doesn't catch the ball like Cook and Barkley do. To which I then say Kareem Hunt catches the ball. Like, they're not asking Nick Chubb to catch the ball.
I know Barkley only played in 2 games this year, but he had 1.8 yards a carry. Miss me with he's better than Nick Chubb. Miss me. 1.8.
I always say, you know that because they say running backs are a dime a dozen, but you know the difference between a good and a great running back when the running back can succeed despite poor blocking around him.
27th ranked run blocking deep.
And you said Derrick Henry took that rushing title from him. Freddie Kitchens took that rushing title from Nick Chubb.
It was a team effort.
He would just forget Nick Chubb existed for half of games at a time.
He had at least 2 halves where he had like 3 carries.
Mm-hmm.
3. Nick Chubb should have 3 carries a drive. 3 carries for it. Guys, stop slandering. The Browns finally have top-tier players at some positions. Guys that are in top 10s, top 5s, things like that. I know that you remember the Browns of old, of not even that long ago, that were really, really bad. But to quote our good friend Andy Lytle, this is not the same old Browns. Anybody who says the same old Browns, fuck you. It's not the same old Browns.
Andy,
did I mention this is not a kid-friendly show? Did I mention that?
And you know what? You know something else? When it mattered most, Nick Chubb had the longest offensive Browns play from scrimmage in Week 17 to get the Browns into the playoffs, and Nick Chubb had the longest Browns offensive play from scrimmage. Well, he was tied with Jarvis, but he had tied for the longest play in the playoffs to help them win and seal that playoff win.
That's what I was going to say. They started to look like the same old Browns a little bit there, and then Nick Chubb's like, it's all right, get the ball in my hands, I'll take care of this.
Yeah.
Outside of the couple of drops against Kansas City, and they were stacking the box, so Nick Chubb didn't have a lot to work with. Outside of that, I've never, ever, ever been disappointed in what Nick Chubb does in a single game. MC Lawrence says he's the best. But he says he's not even in his prime yet. I'm not arguing that. Like I didn't mean to say that he's 4 in those 3 guys. I just meant for this argument, I'm only going to attack these 2 specific players that I don't find Dalvin Cook and Saquon Barkley to be on his level. That's what I meant. That's just straight up what I got there. So that knocks out like all of my rants. 40 minutes in, I had a bunch of rants. I said a bunch of rants. Okay, Ed's weighing in. Ed, what do you got for us? Chubb will be the second best running back in team history behind Jim Brown. That's not bad. He's right. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Nick, JOK or Anthony Schwartz?
Oh, wow. I think I've been itching. We've been talking defense. I'd like to kind of dive a little further in there because we talked about linebacker as one of the biggest question marks. So let's see if we have some answers for it.
I have spent the last 4 days combing through as much JOK film as I can find. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the linebacker, I like to call him the hybrid. I like to call him a defensive weapon out of Notre Dame. I could watch this dude's film all day. He's tough. He's accountable. His closing speed, like he'll get beat. Everybody gets beat, but man, a guy that big, like he's got enough size that when he needs to play linebacker, he can do it. When he needs to play slot defender and safety in the box, he can do it. When he needs to rush the passer. Now, he is a little undersized. So if a tackle gets to the second, that's the only knock about JOK that I have is his size for the run game. And by that, I mean between the tackles. Now, he gets into the backfield and chases guys down from behind like Myles Garrett. Like his backside defense in the run game it's great. It's very good. JOK is a top 15 talent to me. Like I said this to somebody on Twitter yesterday. I said, I didn't do a ton of JOK film study because I just didn't think there was a chance he was even there at 26. And so JOK to me, this is the thing. He's so memorable. I didn't write down my scouting report on JOK. If a offensive lineman gets to the second level on him, he has a little bit of trouble shedding them because of his size. Okay. But his speed, his range. I said I didn't want Zaven Collins because I thought his sideline to sideline speed was poor. JOK's sideline to sideline speed is some of the best I've ever seen from a linebacker prospect. This guy is shot out of a cannon all the time. JOK, he is the perfect zone linebacker. His zone coverage is just, the little hook curl routes that defenses or offenses love to kill the Browns with. You go about 5 routes, you turn around, nobody's there, you catch it, you turn around, juke some guys. No, JOK's that I think the best route JOK covers is the hook route by slot defenders and tight ends. And I don't need to tell anybody listening to this podcast know that is exactly what destroys the Cleveland Browns. JOK, to me, has the shot. If I was putting money on defensive rookie of the year, it would be Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah for me. Wow. I think his ability is just – you don't get I get it. He had some heart things come up. I get it that you get kind of scared because of what happened with Isaiah Simmons in Arizona. The Browns have a plan. They talked about immediately upon drafting him. They still had a third round pick. They had one third round pick after the trade to get JOK. They were immediately on the whiteboard figuring out what they were going to do with this man.
Yeah.
JOK should not be there at 52. He was a steal. I think he is going to be excellent, and I cannot wait to watch this man hit the field.
You said that he would excel against hooks, curls, linebackers,
drags too. Very good against the drag route,
and specifically sideline to sideline. That to me, all of that is the Baltimore Ravens, who have been
and the Steelers.
Yeah, and them too. Yeah, because especially as Ben's deep ball struggles, that's a lot of what they and without the protection as well, you're basically forced into that. And so to me, that's the biggest thing. And as we talked about the draft, it just the picks. You looked at the Browns' weaknesses, and you looked coming into the draft. Okay, how do you improve? And you more wondered, okay, what is the order that they're going to address these in?
Yeah,
it just lined up. It lined up in exactly because Lamar kills the Browns. Any scrambling quarterback. Pick a scrambling quarterback. They've killed the Browns.
Chad Henne.
There it is. There. Oh man, pain.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
That was rude.
and then, oh god, I flash back to Mark Andrews week 1, just eviscerating the Browns defense and doing whatever he wanted to do, and just sad. So. And then Lamar in the game in the regular season game of the year, Lamar just did whatever. I mean, it looked when you bring up that Chiefs game, it reminded me of that Baltimore game where Lamar just has infinite room to operate and could do whatever he wants to do because he has so much space. And so what do? You bring in a guy that eliminates that space because the Browns desperately needed speed. And here you have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah still working on that.
No, that's good. Yeah.
And so I'm excited. I'm really excited to hopefully finally see tight ends and scrambling quarterbacks. I mean, I'm not nobody stops Lamar individually, and I understand.
No, and that's a lot to put on a rookie. We're just saying he helps. He helps.
Just help. Just. Maybe instead of 10 yards between him and the nearest defender, we could have like
7.
7, sure, 7.
I'll take 7. Yeah. 7.5.
Oh man,
6.25. I'm going the wrong direction.
that play where Lamar comes back into the game and he
after pooping,
and he scrambles a little bit. There's no one around him, and then he just throws to the receiver where there's also no one around him. Is just such.
Yeah, I don't know where everybody was.
It's like there are 5 different ways that the Ravens offense can kill you there, and it's like Lamar's just like I'll pick one.
Ed says that JOK will always be a legend because he was drafted by the Macho Fan. Oh yeah. That's right. That's right. I snap into I used to do it the snap into a Slim Jim. Oh yeah. Like it's like I don't know.
I still really like Slim Jims.
I do. What's wrong with Slim Jims? JOK will make a lot of teams drafting earlier look silly for passing on him. He'll help to contain Lamar. I don't know what Extra Crispy's calling you names in here. I'm not putting it on the screen.
I see that. He's you know what? You had Taco Tuesday. Maybe Extra Crispy's having Crispy Tuesday. I couldn't come up with the T word, but you know what I'm saying.
He's a good dude. I like Extra Crispy.
Absolutely.
He loves to talk Browns and get just a little bit feeling a little bit loose, and
you may be seeing him soon.
I've heard some rumors.
There are some rumors out there.
I can't be for sure. Okay, Anthony Schwartz. Let's talk about Anthony Schwartz real quick, and then we got to rank our top 5 MCU movies. This is Anthony Schwartz. It's real quick because I said this with Anthony Schwartz that we would touch it just a little bit because at this point you've ad nauseum talked about these top 3 guys.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about how deadly his speed is. It garners so much respect. It can equate to easy separation on comeback routes. There's a lot of routes where he looks like he's going to make Extra Crispy's laugh, and he knows what's going on in the comments. So, those go routes, he runs, it looks like he's going to run the go route, and then he comes back, breaks back in. He's wide open on those. If he can work on his planting and his cutting, something that Odell is legendary at, that there could be. So he's only 20 years old. He'll barely be 21. He'll barely be drinking age by the time the season starts. I think his birthday is in August or early September. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. He was not asked to do much route wise. He was asked to be fast. That's it. That's fine. He needs to learn how to use his speed at different levels. We saw Coach talk about that at the rookie thing. Hey, remember we would talk about this is the route. We want you on 4th gear, not 5th gear, things like that. But that's things that the Browns have clearly already identified and are already working on. And we're not in training camps 3 weeks away on the 27th. He had horrible quarterback play, which makes it pretty hard to evaluate. I'm going to be honest with you. There was plenty of throws where I'm pretty sure he did what he was supposed to do, in that he had separation, that he had beaten guys, but it's Bo Nix.
Reminds me of TPJ.
Yeah,
That
it's
quarterback
scary.
play?
It's scary. It's scary how much. It's scary. Had horrible quarterback play. He needs to work on his hands. He's kind of raw because early on he was splitting time with track, and I mean like Olympic speed kind of splitting time with track. But yeah, that's the way in. Ed says my biggest takeaway is that Barry has given Stefanski and Woods playmakers. Yep, and they are versatile. Extra Crispy says, how do we deal with a team like this? Buddy, I don't know. Never had one of these. I can't answer that question. Michael says, what and how long did we sign him for? Are we talking about JOK? He was a second-round pick, so it's a 4-year deal. So yeah, that's what I got with Anthony Schwartz.
My only two things are, you referred to Kevin Stefanski's creativity offensively, and I know Schwartz had rushing touchdowns. They used him in jet sweeps. So
he had like 9, didn't he? Like 9 rushing touchdowns.
Some stupid. I can't remember the exact number. That you could. I mean, you probably hit the nail on the head. But that it just makes a lot of sense, right? Because you want to constantly keep the defenses off balance, so you have yet another gadget. And obviously he has to work on his route running. But something that's stuck out to me in the scouting report is that a lot of times, what's that?
7 rushing touchdowns.
7. Okay, that's still great. Just, you know what? So some guys rely on being bigger or faster or stronger in college, and it doesn't translate to the NFL because then everybody else is close to them. Well, you're still a literal Olympian in terms of speed. So, and I'm counting on Schwartz to develop, but all I'm saying is that he's not just going to get to the NFL and suddenly be slower than everyone else.
Yeah, no. 4.25 speed is 4.25 speed. And Ed says that Schwartz loves Cedar Point, but he wants to know what our favorite roller coaster is.
Great question. Oh,
can I?
Sorry. Just slightly excited because Charlie has joined us from Panama, and that excites me. Hi, Charlie.
That's so freaking crazy, dude. Greetings, Charlie, from down there in Panama. That's so crazy. The fact that we get to talk to people in different countries and continents and across the world and just share this camaraderie. This would make sports great, guys. It's absolutely what makes sports great. My favorite roller coaster is the Millennium Force. What was I? What am I? No. The Beast. The Beast is my favorite roller coaster at Kings Island. I'm sorry. It's at Kings Island. The Beast is my favorite roller coaster. I am closer to Cincinnati than I am Sandusky. So that's where it is.
I've never been to Kings Island. You know what? It's funny enough. I was going to say Millennium Force. However, for the 2 years
if I had
ago,
picked Cedar Point, it's Millennium. If I picked Cedar Point, it's Millennium Force. So if that's the question, that's the answer. Yeah.
I wasn't. I haven't been to Cedar Point yet this year, but 2 years ago I rode Steel Vengeance when they first built it, and it is fantastic. It's a lot of bang for your buck. It's a really long Millennium Force type ride that way, and it's like a weird combination of like wood and like retro kind of wood, but it's also like a steel coaster. So they get to invert you and all that fun stuff. It's, if you haven't ridden.
Oh no. Okay, there you are. You're back. You're back. Yeah, you're back. Okay. You said if you haven't ridden.
Oh, if you haven't ridden it, you definitely should. It's worth it. One of the longest waits to Cedar Point. Very worth the wait.
Michael asks if Schwartz can be our Tyreek Hill. I think at least, especially his rookie year, think more Mecole Hardman. Go watch how the Chiefs use Mecole Hardman, because especially early on, we have OBJ, we have DPJ, we have Jarvis Landry. Tyreek Hill is a number one. We don't need Schwartz to be there. I'm not sure if he can be there. He definitely has Tyreek's speed, but I think more Mecole Hardman, and we will be very good off if he is a Mecole Hardman.
And Tyreek's so like vertically explosive. He has it. So, and I don't think that's what Schwartz brings to the table. And I think that's totally fine. Just different guys. It's like Tyreek may be short, but he can still high point the ball. Whereas I don't think that's Schwartz's strength.
His high point is absolutely ridiculous. Charlie says that we're awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. He said he can't wait to get to Cleveland. He's never been there with good enough weather for roller coasters. Hey, if you come to like the home opener, that would probably be the best time because September starts to get a little less hot. Mm-hmm. But you know what I thought about this, Nick? You reminded me of something. So now I have a question for you. So what's the weirdest place you've ever peed?
Man, hitting me with those questions. Wow.
I got him, Ed. I got him.
Wow. God, this is a tough question. I don't know if So when I was in college, a freshman in college, I went to Xavier in Cincinnati, and I came home one day for a weekend, and my mom was working at Holzer. She's a surgical tech. She's still a surgical tech. She just works at Doctors Hospital in Columbus. And I was in this little like break station, and I did not know where the bathroom was. And I knew if I left the break station, she had to buzz me in to get in there. So I was like in this like break room kitchen, and I'm like, I have no idea what to do. So I peed in the sink. Hey, that will work.
I'm just like standing up in this break room, just climbing up there, running water, freaking out. Somebody's going to come in. That's the weirdest place I've ever peed.
So I know this isn't like super weird to anybody that is a connoisseur of this, but so I am no fisherman. I'm no Myles Garrett with that massive fish, but I can remember being a little younger, and I went out on my friend's dad had a pretty small boat, but me, my dad, him, and his son, who was my friend, is still my friend, went out on this little boat. And we're just fishing, and I had to pee, and so I asked, because I don't know, I just remember that was like one of my first times I had to pee, and so I asked.
Yeah, you just pee right off the boat. It's fine.
Yeah, you just, and it's like you got your dad and your friend's dad and your friend are all right next to you, and they just kind of look away, and then
they're probably peeing too
at the time. Yeah, so
they're probably peeing too, dude.
I know it's not that exciting of an answer, but to me at the time, I was like, "What?
No,
this is what you do." Oh man!
If it's the weirdest place to you, then it counts. All right, guys, this is the part you all been waiting for. We got a top 5 here.
Yes,
we are huge Super Bowl nerds. I'm sorry, superhero nerds here at the Bark and Brown Show. So we are going to rank the top 5 MCU movies. There's 23 to choose from, and we're going to rank them. I want to start by saying that I had some rules on mine, and I wanted to explain them, and I will pretty much explain them pick for pick, blow for blow. Feel free to rank your top 5 and throw them in the comments if you are watching live, or tweet at me, tweet at Nick, or DM one of us your top 5. That's great. We love interaction with you guys. So
Jacob, I gotta hit you with one thing first. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but thank you to everyone who is watching. You would make both of our days, both of them, if you hit the subscribe button on YouTube, if you left a 5-star rating on the podcast, any kind of comments are great. Always trying to answer those on YouTube. Ed, shout out to Ed. You always comment. Love you for that, my guy. Likes on the video are great.
A written review on Apple. We haven't had a written review. For people that are trying to that want to support us and that sort of thing, the likes, the comments, the reviews, the subscribes, it bumps us up these lists so that more people that don't know about us can see us. It puts us in front of more people, and then more people can go, oh, well, I'll give them a listen. And so we do. We really appreciate that. I'm a huge superhero nerd. I left a certain superheroes 2 solo movies off of here, and I apologize. But I rank based on the MCU dynasty. That's what I was going for. So what they created, what they meant sentimentally, and then if they were a good movie. So that's the way. Those are my 3 criteria.
Wow.
Because I think most MCU movies outside of like Thor: Dark World were very good. I thought if it's a superhero, I'm going to like it and at least give it a 7 out of 10. It's just how it's going to be because it's a superhero movie and that's who I am. So those are my things. I have an honorable mention, and I have 2 number ones tied together, an honorable mention and a top 5.
Okay.
So I got a lot going on here. So Nick, over to you. Number 5 best MCU movie.
So I know this is probably a lot higher up most people's list, but I'm just going to come right out and Infinity War hits it right there as my number 5 movie. It brings everything together. Finally have it. The Wakanda battle is probably one of my favorite battles in the entire series. And just the way they one of the most iconic scenes to me in all of it is when they get so close to ripping the Infinity Gauntlet off of Thanos's hand, and it just gut wrenching, right? Like there's just scenes from that I will always remember, and of course the snap, or
the should have gone for the head.
Yeah,
that one will get you every time. I cried during Infinity War.
I'm feeling the emotions right now. True story.
10 years.
And so to be honest with you, I haven't. It takes me a while with movies. I like to not remember the details of them to like watch them again, and really get into them. So it's been a while for me with a lot of these movies. So I'm going based on just the things that really stick out to me, and so that Infinity War is damn good, and somehow I was going through these rankings and it ended up at 5. So there I am.
That's fine. Yeah, absolutely. So I just recently, I just sat down with my wife and watched all through the MCU.
Wow.
She has not seen Spider-Man Homecoming. So she the last thing she saw was Endgame. So the last thing she saw was Avengers Endgame. But other than that, she's caught up. Charlie says he's got to go. When's the next live? We be live again at 8 p.m. Eastern time, our time, next Tuesday, Charlie. That's the plan. Like last week, we were a little bit early because of our guests scheduled. That may happen sometimes in the future with some of the other guests, but most of the time it should be 8 p.m. on Tuesday Eastern time. Number 5 for me is a song that I think has the best soundtrack in the MCU, and that is Thor Ragnarok. Ragnarok came out while I was deployed, so I did not get to see it in theaters. I was overseas at the time. I did get an early illegal copy of it. And Thor Ragnarok had everything, but the thunder, they play it over and over again. And just when he goes Odin mode for the first time, he loses his eyes and he just the power. And it was when Mjolnir gets destroyed, it's like, well, what are you going to do, Thor?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And I still think one of my favorite scenes in the MCU is when when Banner is talking to Valkyrie and he goes, watch this. And he jumps out of the plane because he thinks he's going to turn into Hulk, but he doesn't. And he face plants down on the Bifrost Bridge. It's still one of my favorite. That one had the best soundtrack. And for me, it really set the tone for Infinity War because it was the last one, correct? Before Infinity War? It was somewhere around there. But it really set the scene for Infinity War because it set it up for when he would eventually run into Thanos in space. But so for me, number 5 is Thor Ragnarok.
Okay.
Number 4, what's up?
Number 4, what do I got here? What do I have? Oh, so my personal, actually, building right off. So it's like we got the synergy going right here. My personal movie with the favorite soundtrack among all of them is Guardians of the Galaxy. Wow.
Oh, No, I think you're right. Yeah. Oh, I
They're
can't believe I
close.
dropped the ball on that.
They're so
Yeah, no,
close.
you're right.
And you know what? So many of the Marvel movies were very serious to this point and very
Overall, they had their own humor in them, but the overall tone was serious. Yeah, for sure.
And so when Guardians of the Galaxy comes out, it's like, and I feel like this is as they started to really get into it, and they started to evolve and really go to some different places. And I loved like a little bit of the lighthearted, just Groot, and Rocket, just the way like that prison breakout scene is. Oh man.
I still think that when he does and he gives him the finger, that's still one of the better scenes in cinema. Ed said it was not an illegal copy; it was bootlegging, like Baker, for a first down.
There it is.
No, you know what? Guardians is not on my list, but I will say that like it was Guardians 2. It really because it kept up the overall theme, but it was lighthearted. It was much more lighthearted. You were having more fun.
Yeah.
Extra Crispy says that the first Marvel movie was the Dolph Lundgren Punisher, which is underrated, by the way. If you have not seen Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher, you do need to see that.
Super sad that they ended Punisher on Netflix. I really enjoyed that series.
Yeah.
Side note.
Yeah. I really enjoyed all of them. Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. They were all very good. The Marvel series on Netflix. So number 4 is one that I think may have been one of the more visually stunning movies. He is an underrated character for me. And the actor that played him was so, and it got, because of this actor, the movie actually, the movie's release was actually delayed because he had so many other things he had going on. So they had to wait for him to be free. So number 4 was Doctor Strange. So Benedict Cumberbatch, I mean, Marvel's casting overall, except for Natalie Portman, Marvel's casting overall was phenomenal. But Benedict Cumberbatch, the only person that was better at playing his character in the MCU than Benedict Cumberbatch was Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, because he is Tony Stark. And, checkered past, but is really a family man, a good person now. Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch was just like Doctor Strange pre-accident was an asshole. And that's exactly what Cumberbatch was perfect about it. And then when he finally opens his mind and he thinks about more people for him than himself, he takes over this okay, you're not touching. I mean, think about him at the beginning of Infinity War and the things that he was like. He was meeting these guys and he was threatening them, all these things. He was not going to allow that. I love Doctor Strange. It was perfectly cast, perfectly well done. I love the cleverness to beat Dormammu at the end. The way he did it, it was visually stunning. Extra Crispy doesn't like Doctor Strange. He's telling me that he doesn't like Doctor Strange. That's okay, buddy. I knew I was going to have something here that I didn't. That some people didn't like that, but I loved it. I love Doctor Strange. So we're moving on to number 3. Nick, where we got at number 3?
Number 3 is one on your list. So for those who don't know, I am a Hulk stan. I'm a Hulk stan.
Okay, yeah.
I love the Hulk, and so Thor Ragnarok for me comes in at number 3.
It's so good.
You know what? I am so upset at them still to this day, and I do my very best to avoid previews as much as I can, because if you like Marvel, you do not need to see any previews to go see.
I never watched them. Never.
They spoil that Hulk is in the movie, because nobody knew, and I'm so upset because the dynamic, because everybody's wondering, what happens to Hulk and where did he go and all this
stuff.
Where
was he in? Because Civil War came out before that. Where was he? We didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
So nobody knew where Hulk was.
Yeah. And so that great mystery, it was so much fun to see Hulk just in his element, being a badass. and like you referenced, you know, Thor really ascends, and I love that like steampunk post-apocalyptic-y, just like making a world out of junk, and like Mad Max is like, ooh man, I just anything like that is just so, it just hits on it. Like I'm a huge Fallout guy. You know, I know. Ooh, we could totally dip into video games one of these days. Sorry, side note.
Side note, maybe the Barking Browns are going to have a Twitch channel where somebody might play a bunch of Madden.
Ooh, man.
I don't know. That sounds like something that might be happening next month.
That seems like it could be pretty cool.
Seems pretty ominous.
Yeah. Ooh, wow. Okay. Got about a month.
No, Fallout's great. It is. Fallout is great.
So just for me,
and we will do a top 5 video games. We'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do
okay.
it.
Yeah. And it just hit us. It went again. It goes to a different place than basically any of the other ones. And so to me, I love that unique factor to it, and I love the way, you know, it's so obviously they have to have Hulk out for Civil War because he's like a cheat code against a lot of his fellow superheroes, and like I get that. So it's like you know, I felt so sad. I felt so sad because of that. Basically,
yeah. What's he up to?
Yeah, and so for them to bring him back, that just like pulled on my heartstrings, and so Thor Ragnarok right there.
So number 3 for me is pretty simple. I thought about putting this a little bit higher. I didn't, for a few other reasons, because the movies that I put above it were, I just thought were better movies. But none of this is possible without the first Iron Man. The original Iron Man was the first MCU movie. The original Iron Man was a great movie. Don't talk superhero movie. I thought that was a great movie. Robert Downey Jr. was Tony Stark to a T. Jeff Bridges as Obadiah was just, he was a great villain. I didn't like how they ended it. Like he just froze him. He just flew him up, froze him, and he lost. You know what I mean? Like I didn't think that final fight was all that great. None of this is possible without because they set the tone, because it was Iron Man and Iron Man 2, and they set the tone as great movies, as superhero movies, and they showed that there was a market for this, and that just snowballed it into the next 10 years. And Extra Crispy weighs in about Wolverine and Deadpool. They're not in the MCU yet. The X-Men are not part of it, and Deadpool is not part of it yet. That's why they are excluded from these rankings. But this doesn't happen without Iron Man. So Iron Man's at number 3. So we're going to our top 2.
I respect it a lot.
Where are we at number 2?
I've got AJ texted. Hey, my friend AJ is a giant Marvel nerd, and I wish that I could include all. We're just rolling along here. I'm sorry. You'll get your opportunity, my friend, at some point. But anyway, so I'm doing a late flip flop, and
oh no,
yeah. So another hill that I am on is that I think Ultron was the best villain in the whole arc. And that may not be popular because everybody loves Thanos, and you know Dennis, you know, is always using the snap gifts and all that stuff.
You know what the problem is? Ultron made a lot of sense, dude.
Yeah, I know, and that's what makes him such a good villain. Right? He's like
he made sense.
You keep your friends rich, you keep your enemies rich, and you find out which is which. Right? He cuts off the dude's arm, and he's like, what? He just so casually says, what did he say? Oh, I'm sorry. I think that'll be fine. Like it's very it's so different than a lot of the villains. And I like DC a lot too. And the Joker is like was one of my favorite villains. And he has very, very small, like Joker-y
mannerisms and thing. Yeah.
And just the way he is just, and like, he has this like weird thing about Stark and not being, I just, that dynamic and just all of it. I think that Ultron deserved 2 movies. He deserved a second movie.
I've heard a rumor that like he's not necessarily gone.
You know what? I've heard that as well, which is interesting. A friend of mine tried to say, a friend of mine tried to say they ended his arc and that's where it should be. But if you watch WandaVision and all, it's like I think we're getting Vision back. Why can't we have Ultron? I would love Ultron. He's so different than any other villain, right? And I feel like there's so many more layers. Like Thanos is very simple. He's just like, we got too much. We're gonna half it. We're gonna cut it in half, and that's it. I'm just gonna go sit in my little sunlight and whatever. But Ultron has layers and depth, and I love it. I love it.
Number 2, I'm gonna give my honorable mention as the Avengers. My honorable mention is the original Avengers because it was our first glimpse at multiple people, multiple main character superheroes in one go. Multiple, and it really set the tone for my number 1 and my number 2. Number 2 is Captain America: Civil War. For me, that movie, Spider-Man's my favorite superhero, and they brought him in, and Tom Holland is the perfect Spider-Man. He is absolutely the best Spider-Man. And I like Andrew Garfield. I like Tobey Maguire. I was a kid when Tobey Maguire was Spider-Man, so there's a lot of nostalgia there. You know what, Ed? You asked which MCU movie will predict how the Browns season plays out, and I think it's Doctor Strange because we haven't seen it in 20 years. And wow, I like that. I just came up with that. It was terrible, but I just came up with it.
I thought it was good.
Civil War was fun, man, because I get it. Tony was right. Cap was right. Like, they were right, but then they both were wrong, right? Like, there had to be a middle ground, and they both were unable to come to the middle ground, and that's where you end up being with it. But Captain America: Civil War, it's number 2, for sure. I like it. So, number 1, man, where are we at? What's the best MCU movie?
All right. Well, I said I was going to flip-flop, and then I changed my mind. This is the number 1 I had originally, and this is the number 1 I have still to this day, and it is Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I've seen a
lot of people have that up there today. In our group chat, there was quite a few people that had that up there.
I was surprised. Yeah. I thought I'd be alone on that hill. I did not know this was such a more common thought. You know what? I came away from that movie feeling like I was watching Die Hard. Like, it was just like, it's a superhero movie, but it's like because Bucky and Cap are just not like super powered. It's just like an action movie. It has so many layers and just the way that I forgot for a little while that I was watching a superhero movie, and I just like got engrossed in the battle and just like Cap trying to pull Bucky back and just the reveal that he is, but just all of that, and I guess I didn't know this theme, but all the movies to me that stick out as truly unique are just there for me, and just the way the Civil War, the Winter Soldier just felt so different from any of the others for me. It just takes it there for me.
Okay, I love it. Listen, I love Batman, but he's not better than any Marvel guy. MC, I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
No, I love Batman. Batman's phenomenal. Black Panther. Yeah, I love Black Panther as well. Black Panther was great. And the fact that Chadwick Boseman had cancer while he was doing those roles is like, what he put himself through to like inspire people and to entertain people is just phenomenal. So number 1 for me is, it's an easy one. It's a tie up. It's a back-to-backer. It's Endgame and Infinity War.
Okay.
We watched for 10 and 11 years. We watched these movies, and we laughed, we cried, we yelled at the screen. We wondered why Natalie Portman thought she was more important than why Natalie Portman wanted to know why she should be the lead, even though it's called Thor, not Jane Foster. But now she's going to be Thor next year. Because if those who don't necessarily know where the comics follow, Jane Foster does become Thor, and that is going to be happening in Thor Thor: Love and Thunder.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So Endgame, it was everything, man. It was everything. And I still, to this day, if I watch the scene when Cap catches Mjolnir, and I'm doing it right now, I can feel the cold chills and the goosebumps just all over me when Cap picks up Mjolnir. And just to see Thor, I knew it. And it was like, yeah, dude. Like, it was, you know what? I would argue that in that moment, before that snap, I think Tony Stark was worthy. I think Tony Stark was worthy there. Right before that snap, I think he was worthy. It was just, for me, and I'm not even necessarily saying that overall it was the best movie. I think it was up there. It was definitely as a standalone movie, but like, it was the culmination of everything with it and Infinity War. I kind of almost find them to be the same movie. I know because I know that Ant-Man and the Wasp came out after Infinity War, but it took place before Infinity War. So really, they were chronologically they were back to back, and for me, so I just kind of put them in the same category. But it was the culmination of everything, man. We watched so many movies, we spent so many hours watching it, and for me, they ended it. They ended Chris Evans as Captain America in a really good way. I liked it. I'm not saying it was the best way, but it was good. That was the way I liked the way Tony went out. I feel like he's going to be back as like an AI. I'm still surprised that the glasses that Spider-Man got in Homecoming were not voiced by him, because I thought they were going to be.
That would be cool.
And the fact that Spider-Man No Way Home is potentially going to be the multiverse with Andrew Garfield and everything. Oh, buddy. I am. But yeah, for me, it's just where it ended. It's where phase 3 ended. And for me, it's just, it's Endgame, because that's what we worked towards. And it was one of those times where you worked towards something movie-wise that didn't then shit on you.
Yeah.
Like, I love How I Met Your Mother, but the ending just shit all over the whole series.
Yep, it sure did.
Like,
a friend of mine isn't into superheroes, and he's in search of something that delivers from beginning to end. And he asked me one time, and I just said it's the Avengers arc. It just from start to finish, it is such a build up, and you know what? Even
so
though
much
I like
character development.
Yeah. And even though I like DC, it's just like their team up movies are so painful at times, and it just shows you how difficult it is to really make the Avengers as good as it was.
Have you seen Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League? It's
Not
like
yet.
4 hours long, but it was actually really good. And I'm actually really sad they're not going to continue it.
I have HBO Max, and so it's like I've been meaning to. I'm working my way through Titans right now. Highly recommend it.
Oh yes, no, I've already seen it.
Super impressive.
The new season comes out the August 20th, I think. It's season 3.
No.
Yeah, no. They've already revealed the Red Hood.
Oh, really? Oh, man, you know what? I'm pretty ignorant about DC because, and like you, I came up with Spider-Man, the animated series, and then Batman. It was like Batman and Spider-Man. Yep. So it's like right from the beginning, it was like I like both, you know. And so I'm really excited.
But no, man, I think that's where we're at for this week. We got a special announcement coming later this week about next week.
Yes, we do. I want to ask you one last thing. Is there any Marvel movie for you that does not hit, that just misses the mark?
I was not that crazy about the first Captain America. It felt very anticlimactic. Like, I think somebody in our group chat said today that he was like, it seemed like he was invincible and he was never in any real peril like he was later. I think Andy said that in the group chat today. And it's just like, it was good, but it was so gimmicky because it came out in that era of when these 3D movies were big. So like it was a 3D movie and they threw the shield out at you and stuff like that. And it was good as a setup movie, kind of similar to the first Thor, where it was like, it was an origin story and you needed it, but as a standalone movie, it wasn't that I wasn't that crazy about it.
Gotcha. I really liked the first Iron Man, but I just felt like the second and the third one just I wasn't the whip dude and just like the way that movie goes. It just becomes like robot on robot, and I felt like they could do something, like they could make the villain a little bit more intriguing, and it just didn't. It didn't do it like beyond the
They
first.
didn't go into his backstory enough because he's actually a pretty good villain in the comic books.
I just felt like it could have been like, I was so excited in the previews. He's like got these the IndyCar scene and like all that stuff.
That was a good scene though.
Yeah, it was, and I just felt like it could have. And thank God, I'm so happy that Tony and Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man is so good, and I'm glad that the Avengers movies did him justice that I did not think the second and third Iron Man did.
MC is mad that MC and Chubb are pissed that we dissed Batman. We didn't diss Batman.
No, never.
But I love Batman, but I like Marvel. I will tell you though, as Nick said, if you have not seen the live action Titans on HBO Max, you need to see that because that shit is fire.
So is Doom
Iron
Patrol.
Man. Yes, sorry. I am about to start Doom Patrol. Actually,
nerding out over here. Sorry, but wow.
Yeah.
So this has been the Brady Quinn episode 10. We've been doing this. We've done this 10 times now, Jacob, in this format.
10.
Look at us
10.
go. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I know we said you anyway. Thank you. Just listening is incredibly supportive. That subscribe button, that like button, those 5-star reviews, any comments or likes, I promise either Jacob or I will respond to them.
Sometimes we both do.
Sometimes we both do.
Sometimes
right? We love that. We would love to have more interaction from you guys on that because tell us what can we do? What can make us better? All of that would be great. So this has been episode 10. I'm Nick. He is the awesome Jacob over there. Moving into buying paint, new house.
I'm closing my house tomorrow. We're closing the house tomorrow.
Look at him go. Bravo to you, my friend. Big steps.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, sorry. I don't know why I'm so talkative tonight, but thank you. That's
it.
Hey,
we love you guys. Go Browns.